All right, welcome. Oh, forgot my earphones. I'll be able to hear John. Hey, everybody, this is the Genesee County Compassion Club show. I'm your host, Jeremy, and I'm glad to be back in the studio here at allpointstv.com. Got John behind the window here making it happen. How you doing, John?
Pretty good. You've been busy past couple weeks.
Very, very busy. I'm getting a lot of
static there.
Bang, bang, bang.
Oh, yeah, you're beating the drums here. Yeah, I don't know what's causing that, but
Sorry about that. I'll try not to pound the table too hard, folks. All right, happy holidays, everybody. Merry Christmas. I hope everyone had a wonderful Thanksgiving, and I hope you're all getting ready for the holiday season. I know that the Christmas shopping's in full swing, and we're finally getting some cold weather here. After we had a little warm streak there this last week, but man, it's just a beautiful time of year. I hope you guys are enjoying it, getting ready. I got some information I want to share with you today about medical marijuana, let you know what's been happening with the Genesee County Compassion Club, also get you up to date at what's going on with the state and around the country. So let's get it on, all right? Got a few things, a few events I want to mention first that we have going on at the club. And of course, the holidays, we're going to have some different hours going on for the selected holidays, like Christmas, I think, is on a Monday, and January, New Year's, same thing. So, John, you got the little post there, the holiday hours up for the viewers, just so you can see what our hours are going to be for Christmas Eve, so on and so forth. Now, Christmas Eve is a Sunday, so we don't have to worry about that, but the Saturday before Christmas, we are going to have a fun time at the club. It's going to be a special day. We're going to have special menu items. We're going to have some special events and prizes for you guys, for your members. And I just encourage you, if you can, to make it down to the Genesee County Compassion Club. If you're not there regularly, make it down, make a special trip to it Saturday before Christmas. All right? It's going to be well worth your while. All right? You guys will definitely like it. All right, what else we got going on? We've got a holiday. That is the holiday party. Oh, yeah. If you like to make desserts, bring a dessert on that Saturday. Share it around. You can show off your baking skills, or just get rid of those leftover Christmas cookies that no one else wants to eat. Whatever it is you got. We will eat your cookies. All right, and one more thing I think that's important. We usually do some charitable giving. The club does around the holiday season, and this year's no exception. We've got our special, what we love to do is the Pause for Cause. You got that there, John? A special event we do through the Genesee County Humane Society, where we collect items for animals, and then also the Genesee County Compassion Club actually sponsors a few of the cages down there as well. So what that means is that we monetarily sponsor the care and everything that goes along with whatever animal is going to be in that particular cage throughout a 12-month period. And we sponsor 3 different cages down there in addition to the giving that you guys do at the holiday season. So we're definitely strong supporters of our animals here in Genesee County. We're proud of that, and we're going to keep doing it. So if you've got some dog items that haven't been used yet, you can bring those in. If you want to make a monetary donation, you can do that as well, and we will be getting it to the Pause for Cause event at the Genesee County Humane Society. So thank you for supporting that. We definitely appreciate it. I think we're going to get our holiday tree up soon. We usually have a holiday tree, and we hang all kinds of dog items on it. I know that our Christmas tree somehow came up missing in the move. All 5 of them. But at any rate, we're going to get something going for you guys. And the important thing is obviously we take care of our animals and pets. So, all right, let's remember to do that. And thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, let's talk about some marijuana news. I got a couple things I want to share with you today. On the radar this morning, little town of Montrose. I think most of you guys are familiar with that. Little town up here in the northwest corner of Genesee County. It has had medical marijuana dispensaries in it. I know it's got a good population of patients and caregivers in that little town. But it looks to me like their council, this was on the news this morning, their council is going to approve for the new Medical Marijuana Facilities Act. And it appears that they're looking at approving processing, growing, and potentially testing as well. And, transport, that's not really an issue. But the interesting point I wanted to make and let you guys know is that, Montrose is up there making their decisions and doing what they need to do for their community. But one of the decisions that they made is that they decided not to have a distribution center, if you will, or a dispensary. So I think that's kind of odd. I think it's disingenuous, if you would. Why would you allow a product in your community that may be controversial? You clearly have no problem making money off from it as a community. You clearly don't have a problem with it being there if it's being, grown and processed there in the community. But yet you're not allowing any place in the community for your patients to get access to, as far as like for a retail brick and mortar location. It just seems odd. Why would you do that? And these odd scenarios are happening across the state. There definitely is confusion. There's definitely lack of information and misinformation being given at township meetings and across city councils. So it's very difficult, but finally the state has issued a set of emergency rules. So this is from the Michigan LARA department. It just came out, I believe, today. You can go right to the LARA website yourself, lara.gov, and pull them up yourself. Just type in medical marijuana rules, and then you're going to see it pull up right on the front page. It says emergency rules. You click on that, and then there's a PDF that you can download, and you'll get all 33 pages. All 33 pages. Check it out. I mean, I'm not going to go through all 33 pages here on the podcast. I'm going to give you a few highlights, a few pointers from those. But the thing is that if you have a community right now that is making decisions, it's imperative that they have these rules in their hands and that they're using them to help develop the guidelines that you may be asking for or you may be asking about. And something like this may help a community like Montrose or like Thetford, which I was a part of there last week or so. But these are just two communities, among hundreds across Michigan, and they need guidance, they need input, and most importantly, they need that guidance and input from the people in their community. So hopefully things like the rules will be taken into consideration from the state. Obviously they're going to have to if they're going to move forward, and then more importantly, hopefully they take your input as a resident. So get involved. Now's the time. Now is the time. If you haven't gone to a local township meeting, or if you haven't at least checked out your township meetings minutes, if you don't know what's going on inside your own township or city, now's the time to find out, because you can actually have an impact. You can have a role. And a lot of you, especially you club members, are more knowledgeable about marijuana, the growing of it, the processing of it, and also the patient's needs of it than your city council ever will be. So it's really good if you can help them with information. You don't have to go in there with a master plan, but just being able and being present to answer questions that they may or may not have is going to be more helpful than you can actually imagine. And they are looking for that input. Most of these boards and councils, they're kind of up in the air on this issue, and they might have a personal, feeling about it or a bias, and that's quite common. But a lot of them, the majority of them, really don't care and are really just trying to get up there and please the voter, if you will, especially on this particular issue. So get involved, all right? Get involved. A couple of the things that I can tell you about the rules. Let me pull this up for you. One of the things I found is that the application fee, I think, is $6,000 to the state. That's in addition to whatever your municipality is going to charge. You do still have to have assets, and they are the same assets that we previously discussed on the podcast here about a month ago. The difference is that 25% of those assets have to be in liquid cash assets. So in other words, a bank account, checking account, maybe some type of money market account or something like this, but something that you can access quickly, easily. And again, that number is 25% of whatever the original required amount was. So if you're one of these folks that wants to open up a processing center, maybe you're really good at blowing wax or whatever it is, your asset requirement for that is $300,000, and you're only going to have 25% of that in cash. So I don't know if that's a relief for most people. I know for me, $300,000 is a very big number, and that's a lot. So to me, I don't think the state really changed. We talked about this being a controversial thing when the state originally decided these asset figure amounts, and how that is going to be exclusionary for many small business entrepreneurs and business owners across the state. There are many people that are still moving forward and progressing, even with these limits. I hope that they're able to live their dreams, if you will. I don't have any type of qualms against them, but I don't like what the state's doing. I think that we need to have these amounts reviewed, lowered, and be a lot more attainable for your average, everyday, common person. But at any rate, that's what the state has on their emergency rules. Another thing I want to point out, in addition to the fees and the asset requirements, you also have to have a $100,000 insurance policy. Good luck getting one. most types of insurance policies like this are considered bonds. And I'm not an expert, I'm not an agent anymore, but I used to be. And I can tell you that when you want to get a $100,000 insurance bond, you typically need to have $100,000 in the bank for the insurance company to back you up. Now, does that sound retarded? Yes, because it is. That's not really how insurance typically works. But when you're asking for a high-risk coverage policy, or you're asking for a type of policy that isn't very well used across the market, it's kind of a niche, if you will, oftentimes they have a lot higher attrition rates and a lot higher risk rates for the insurance bearer. And what that results in is a lot higher cost, or a lot more difficulty in being able to actually get that type of insurance. But at any rate, that's a requirement. You got to have a $100,000 insurance policy. I would imagine that it doesn't specify like exactly what kind of an insurance policy that is, but I'm sure if you're going to buy it, you'll figure that out. All right, 33 pages of rules. Again, I'm not going to go through them all. I recommend that you do if you're looking to get into this, or if you just want to see how big business is trying to make changes to the industry. You can see this here. It allows for license stacking unless they pass a bill that says otherwise. Currently, right now, it allows for stacking specifically for the C-class license, which is the 1,500 plants. So, that is obviously geared at the larger commercial scale grower. If you're initially going after a 1,500 plant license, your facility is large enough to hold more than that, and so now you want to go get another 1,500 plant license. Same fees and application fees and asset requirements are required for each one of those licenses, but it is allowing you to do so. So if you have a large company with a lot of assets, you're able to make this kind of a move. This is a possibility for you at the current time. We're going to get into that a little bit more here in just a little bit later on the show. So, but that's one of the things. It does allow for stacking. It also allows, and I think this is quite interesting, in order to meet your asset requirement, you as a caregiver can submit up to 15 ounces of usable marijuana or 72 plants that can be utilized as inventory towards the capitalization requirement. So how they will figure out how much that is worth, it is not stated in here. I don't know if they're going to go by DEA numbers, or if they have their own metric for how much of a value to assign to each individual ounce or plant for that matter. I mean, obviously 72 plants in a clone dome is not going to be the same as 72 plants that are ready to be harvested next week. Big difference there. So we have yet to see how the state's going to work that out. Another big question that the state has not answered yet, and we'll get into this a little bit as well, but one big question is, obviously we're talking about a lot of cash movement just to get started. The state has not answered the question about what do you do with the fact that any federally regulated financial institution is not legally allowed to handle anything to do with medical marijuana, or the money that's tied to it. So it makes some of these requirements, some of these things that they're asking for, extremely difficult if you're going to be on the up and up with your own institution, your financial institution, that is. So that's the nuts and the bolts. Obviously, there's a lot here. It's 33 pages of rules. They are asking for obvious things like a zoning plan from your local township or city. You have to have permission. You have to have express permission specifically for your project from your township. Be able to prove that along with your application. Of course, there's criminal background checks. There's going to be financial background checks, site plans, business plans. I already mentioned insurance and bonds. So many things are going to go along with this application process for those people that are intending to apply. And as of now, the state is still planning on accepting applications beginning December 15th. So we will get to see the hoopla, if you will, unfold before our eyes. It'll be kind of interesting. All right, a couple bills that are going through our Michigan legislature right now in regards to medical marijuana, and in regards directly to in one case, to the licensing board's rules. So let's start out with that. The first one is HB, or House Bill 5144. You can check this out on the legislature.gov website. Just type in the bill number 5144 under the House bill search. It has already gone through the House for approval. The Senate hearing is scheduled for next Tuesday, which is December 12th. This particular bill it does a number of different things, and it suggests a few things as well. One of the big things that it is talking about is the stacking, the license stacking that I just mentioned. This bill would prohibit that or limit it. Of course, the bill is not finalized. It still has to go through another hearing. House has passed it, but it is in the process. So there's things that can be adjusted here. One of those things, though, that this bill was mainly created for was to limit that license stacking ability. So clearly there's a conflict of interest. Obviously, the licensing board feels that this is a necessary item and feels that they should allow this type of process to happen regarding the stacking. And clearly there's some people in our legislature that feel that that should not happen. So this bill was sponsored by Representative Clint Kesto. And basically the summary, which you can read for yourself as well, the summary on this is that you would have local ordinance requirements. It kind of buttons those up as to what exactly you have to have. It also has the license stacking that we talked about for grower license. It clarifies some things on who the grower can sell to or who they can't sell to. It clarifies some things about transport. So if you have a growing facility in the same building as let's say the testing facility, you might not have to pay for transport. You just have to document and record it. So there's certain things in here that make sense. Same thing for the processing center, being able to acquire it and so on without having the transport involved in certain situations. But the big thing I think about it is that it would be limiting the license stacking ability. Another thing that it does address in here, which I think is almost comical, it does address protections for CPAs and financial institutions. Let me read this to you. It says, except as authorized and provided in the Act, a Michigan licensed CPA who reviews a financial statement under Section 701 of the Act, or a financial institution that provides a financial service to a person or entity licensed under the Act, would not be subject to the following based on a marijuana-related offense, which would be criminal penalties under the state law or local ordinances regulating marijuana. They would not be subject to seizure of any real estate or personal property or anything of value, and they would not be subject to any sanction, including disciplinary action or denial of a right or privilege by a business licensing board or bureau. So here the state representative is trying to address the issue of the banking that I previously mentioned. The real issue here at hand is that all of your financial institutions are federally insured. So anything that is done on a state level is really of no consequence because of the fact that the financial institutions aren't asking the state for permission. They're asking the FDIC, and the FDIC is still saying no. I can give you an example. In Colorado, there were a number of different financial institutions, specifically credit unions, that were state-only institutions. So they didn't do business outside of Colorado, and they applied to the FDIC to get a license specifically to handle marijuana accounts. And you realize that in Colorado it's legal for everyone, and we're talking about millions of dollars. This FDIC turned down their request. They denied it, even after the state had legalized it for adult use. So there's no help there, and there will be no help here in Michigan unless we do something on a federal level. So it's nice that it's mentioned in this bill of House Bill 5144. It definitely needs to be addressed, but our state cannot fix this particular issue. So, but that's it for House Bill 5144. Check it out for yourself. The hearing's next Tuesday. Attend it if you wish and speak your mind. Otherwise, call your senator, tell him what you think. Next bill I want to review is House Bill 4606. This was actually passed. It passed and put into immediate effect. It still needs to be signed by the governor, but of course we're sure that fairly certain that the governor will sign this bill. This bill here is a actual repeal of a previous medical marijuana bill that was passed about 3 years ago, I think. We passed a transport bill. Most of you are aware of that. I think almost everybody in our club's aware of it because you understand that your cannabis has to be kept out of reach, inaccessible from anybody in the car, basically. And so that's why we're all putting it in lock cases and sticking it in the trunk. Well, guess what? You don't have to do that anymore. House Bill 4606, which was passed, and will be going into law soon. What it does is it repeals that previous bill. Here's the reason why, is because you should not have, there's many reasons why. The main one, though, legally speaking, is because of the fact that you cannot infringe on a patient's right to have their medication. It doesn't mean that they need to be medicating in their car. Certainly doesn't mean that they should be medicating while they're operating their car. But what it does mean is that you have no right to make them feel or be inconvenienced by having to go through extra steps to store their medication somewhere out of reach in the car. We don't have these types of requirements for prescription medication. We certainly shouldn't have to have it for marijuana either. Again, this does not mean that you can medicate in the car. It doesn't mean that you can operate while being high. Nothing like that. But what it does do is it protects the individual rights of the patient and the caregiver while having cannabis in a motor vehicle. So it's very good. It's very good stuff. House Bill 4606. You can check it again. Go to michiganlegislature.gov, pull it up. You can read it for yourself. It passed in the House, and then it passed in the Senate here just a couple days ago. And now we're waiting for the governor's signature. The Senate, when they passed it, it had a majority pass, and so they decided to give the bill immediate effect. So it should be in effect as soon as the governor puts his ink on it. And basically, you can read it for yourself, but the section that they're referring to, it prohibited a person from transporting and possessing marijuana in or upon a motor vehicle unless usable marijuana is enclosed in the case, carried in the vehicle's trunk, or blah, 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 blah. Section 474, which is what I just read, is very simply says would be repealed. So common sense legislation here. Finally, a nice piece of legislation that I think everybody can agree on. It really went through the House and Senate without any controversy. I think everyone understood that the other way around was simply a violation of rights, a violation of our own state law. And so it's good that they did that. This bill was put through by Representative Peter Lucido. So just so you know who put that through. And I think he's down in like Shelby Township area. All right, a couple other things I want to mention to you guys. January 1st, we have California going legal for adult recreational use. Obviously, they passed their law here this last year, but this January, we will see it actually take effect. So that's big news for California. It'll be interesting to see the numbers that come out of California. California, if you aren't aware, it was the first medical marijuana state back in 1996. So they've had marijuana is nothing new to Californians, of course. And I'm just interested to see what the market will do out there in California once it is available to everyone. So we see Las Vegas blowing up, Nevada blowing up. Obviously, it's very exciting to see this stuff happen. Very neat. All right, I think that's about it of what I've got for you guys this week. There's a lot of obviously controversy and so on still going around the state's program and so forth. I think one of the main things that is getting forgotten amongst the industry, at the township meetings and at the planning commissions and so on and so forth, and everybody has got dollar signs in their eyes, and there's nothing wrong with making a buck. Everybody's got to eat, and the United States is known as a land of opportunity. So some things are good, but what we have to remember is that this program currently, right now, this marijuana program that we have right now, it is medical, and it is for medical use. So what we have to understand is that means this is for patients. And the majority of those patients, if we take a careful look at them, they're not high rollers. A lot of them are on fixed incomes or no income. Marijuana is not covered by health insurance, so it's not fit into their normal monthly budget. We have people that are on Social Security, VA benefits, I don't want to say poverty, but in some cases that is the case. So when we get excited about the medical marijuana industry and people start talking about, how much money there is to make and so on and so forth, I don't disagree with you. I think there is a lot of opportunity in the marijuana industry, but I don't think it should be on the backs of sick people, those people that are going out and making that happen. But in the interim, in the meantime, while we only have our patients to deal with, while they're the only people that are legally able to get this product, let us remember that it is their burden. It's their burden. you're building your enterprise, your business, your hopes and your dreams on the cost of their medication. So we have to keep that in mind. And it's not that doctors shouldn't get paid, and it's not that their caregivers shouldn't get paid either. But let's not do it and sacrifice the consumer in the meantime, which in this case is a patient. Because if we do that, folks, if we do that as an industry, then we're no better than the pharmaceutical industry that we've been dogging on for the past 10 years, right? One of the interesting things I thought at the Thetford Township meeting that I got to witness is the look of shock on the general public's face when the question was asked, well, if cannabis can cure cancer, why aren't pharmaceutical companies developing it? There was many different answers that were given, but it was a look of bewilderment in the crowd when that was asked. And it is a viable question. And I guess my rhetorical question to that would be is, when is the last time you've ever heard of a pharmaceutical company creating something that was a cure for anything? So, question with a question, and I'll leave you guys with that. So, guys, be vigilant, get involved. Now's the time. You can actually have an impact. You can actually make something better. And your information that you have as members of the G3C, as patients and caregivers, is viable and valuable, and it is not readily available. So get it out there, put it to use, and good luck with it, okay? Thanks for being with me here on the podcast this week at the allpointstv.com. We're glad to be here. Genesee County Compassion Club show. Make sure you get down to the club. Make sure you come down on Christmas time, and I hope to see you guys there. So thanks a lot for joining me this week. Have a great week. Happy shopping.